So, you're born as a Viking, big, tough, and feared by everyone in the known world. Sounds like a badass life, right? You've got the reputation of a warrior, you raid villages, plunder treasure, and live in some of the most rugged, picturesque landscapes on Earth. But let me tell you something, being a Viking isn't all drinking mead and swinging axes. It's brutal, dangerous, and a constant fight for survival. First off, let's talk about how short your life is. You're born into a world of constant violence where death is an everyday reality. If you make it to 30, you're considered lucky. Your chances of dying in battle from an infection or from one of the many harsh elements of nature are high. Even if you manage to survive battle, you're facing a lifetime of physical pain. Good luck with that back injury you'll probably get after years of swinging an axe. There's no retirement for a Viking, just an early grave, or worse, a slow, painful decline. Being a Viking isn't about living a peaceful life, it's about raiding, fighting, and conquering. You're always on the move, always preparing for the next raid. Your entire existence is about fighting and plundering, and one wrong move could be the end of your life. You think you're safe at home in your village? Think again. Someone's coming to burn your longhouse down, steal your food, and maybe kill your family. Even when you're not raiding other villages, you're constantly watching your back. One wrong turn and another Viking tribe could be looking to take you down, steal your land, and take your women. That's just how it is. You're either raiding or being raided. There's no middle ground. Let's not forget about the environment you're born into. Being a Viking isn't just about constant warfare. It's also about surviving nature's brutality. From the freezing winters of Scandinavia to the treacherous seas, everything in your life is shaped by the environment's unforgiving grip. Winter's not a season to be feared, it's a way of life, one that lasts for months. Imagine living in a cold, damp longhouse with your entire family, barely enough food to survive, and the constant threat of frostbite or hypothermia. In between raids, there's no escaping the biting cold or the harsh winds sweeping down from the mountains. You're always cold, always wet, and always just one bad winter from starvation. And then when you finally make it to summer, the relief is short-lived, because it's just as brutal. Harsh storms, unpredictable weather, and rough seas make travel and trade dangerous. The gods might favor you in battle, but there's no mercy in nature. Vikings might be known for their tough, burly nature, but that doesn't mean there's room for weakness. As a Viking, you're expected to be strong, fearless, and relentless. There's no such thing as a bad day. You fight, you conquer, or you're left behind. And don't even think about showing fear. If you don't have the guts to raid a village, if you hesitate in battle, or if you can't hold your own in a fight, you're done. You might as well leave your sword and shield at home because your life is going to be over before it even begins. Sure, you've got your family, but family in Viking culture isn't about love and support. It's about survival and legacy. Your father raised you to fight, not to talk about your feelings. Your mother probably told you to toughen up before you could walk. The concept of family bonding is lost when your life is centered around raiding and preparing for war. Even your relationships with other men are driven by competition, power, and status. You don't really get to choose your path. Your family, your tribe, and your king have already done that for you. And if your village gets attacked or your king falls, you're left to fend for yourself, probably dead, or worse, enslaved. Forget about fancy feasts. Sure, you might raid some wealthy monasteries, but your everyday diet is far from a gourmet spread. You live off what you can hunt or steal, and that means a lot of meat, fish, and the occasional fruit or vegetable if you're lucky. But when the winter comes, forget about fresh food. It's salted fish, dried meat, and whatever scraps you can find to survive the long, cold months. If you're really unlucky, the village runs out of food altogether, and you're left fighting for the last scraps of food just to stay alive. Oh, and by the way, if you're a Viking, you're probably getting a lot of your nutrition from alcohol, because, let's be real, drinking meat is a lot easier than finding fresh food. If you're born into the wrong situation, you might find yourself not living as a Viking at all, but as a slave. Vikings were known for raiding other lands and taking captives, and if you're unlucky enough to be caught, you're looking at a life of forced labor, endless work, and a lack of freedom. As a slave, you don't get the glory of battle or the benefits of being a warrior. You're just property, doing all the hard work without the reward, often treated worse than the animals you work with. And if you're a woman in Viking society, your prospects aren't much better. It's not about love, it's about being traded as property, used to create alliances and often subjected to brutal treatment. You might think Viking life is all about glory. sailing across seas, slaying your enemies and coming back with riches. But in reality, it's much more about survival than glory. Most Vikings didn't return from their raids. They were either killed in battle or lost to the harsh conditions of the north. And when you do return home, the glory of battle doesn't last long. You're still dealing with the same struggles, finding food, defending your land, and trying to avoid death. The reality of being a Viking is that it's less about glory and more about enduring the constant threat of death. The chances of living a peaceful long life are slim to none. And let's talk about the afterlife for a second. You might think you're set if you die in battle. You'll be taken to Valhalla, where the gods will welcome you and reward you for your bravery, right? Well, good luck with that. Most Vikings didn't die in battle. They died from disease, starvation, or injuries. And those who didn't die gloriously on the battlefield, they had to worry about whether or not they'd go to Valhalla. You could spend your afterlife as a dishonored warrior, rotting in Helheim, where you're stuck with a boring eternity. That's a lot of pressure to put on someone, and trust me, the Vikings weren't exactly known for their peaceful, stress-free deaths. So why does it suck to be born as a Viking? Because from the moment you're born, your life is a constant fight for survival. You're raised to kill, to raid, and to fight. There's no time for weakness or personal desires. You either fight or die, and even if you manage to survive, you're still fighting to find enough food, keep your land, and avoid death at every corner. Your life is short, violent, and filled with endless challenges, all for the sake of a fleeting sense of glory. You might be tough, you might be feared, but deep down, you're just another warrior doomed to die young and without peace. Being a Viking isn't about glory, it's about making it through each day, hoping you'll make it to the next one.